our Huntsvillian Audrice Toney made some huge plays defensively in the game. And then, of course, Note didn't have a great game, but he did enough, he and his teammates. And like I say, Jalen Williams was really good too as a two-way guy that can guard. And then he's tough inside, flops like crazy. But, I mean, I think that's the way Arkansas plays. But, again, Arkansas, it wasn't a fluke. They earned it. They outplayed Gonzaga.
Right.
And so it was a big win for them. Now they get the Blue Devils. But
does it say
it's
more?
Be interesting.
Does it say more about the physicality of the SEC
Yes.
and what they do? Or
Yes.
does it say more of the fact that Gonzaga comes in and each year, does it say more about Mark Few not being able to win that big game because, and I say that because Mark Few has just 3-6 against top 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament is Mark Few.
He's had a ton of success, though. I mean, people can talk about, the lack of a national championship. But look, man, Gonzaga, he has elevated that program. They're not even a mid-major anymore. They're a brand. They're one of the best programs in the country. But let's just understand something. There's 3 words, West Coast Conference.
Okay.
That's pretty much why they're not winning national championships, because they try to play a much more challenging out-of-conference schedule, but their league doesn't help them at all because 3/4 of their games are 30-point blowouts. And so you don't get tested enough, in my opinion, until you get to the dance. Now, he's been to multiple Final Fours, multiple national championship games. He has done everything but win it. And, I mean, and I don't think he's a disappointment at all. I think he's an outstanding coach. But, again, the stars haven't aligned for him. He got a tough matchup last night, and they didn't play very well. But, again, I think the biggest problem for Gonzaga in some ways is their league because, again, they dominate it. They win the tournament nearly every year. They win the regular season. But there's only 3 or 4 other good teams in that conference, and I don't think they get challenged enough. So, to me, the only way they're ever going to win a national championship is if, 1, in conference realignment, they ended up in the Pac-12, or 2, you have to play the toughest out-of-conference schedule in the country just because you don't get challenged.
And they did. You look at Gonzaga's non-conference schedule. They were tested this year a little bit. Here is Mark Few, though, after the game.
Number 1 and end of the regular season number 1. There wasn't anybody in college basketball that could hold on to it. We were the only ones that could. And, they deserving a lot of credit for that. And took everybody's best shot. And then we just couldn't get it done against Arkansas's shot tonight.
Saying that they were number 1. Most everybody couldn't hold on to the ranking this year. And they got, they got a lot of shots. They took a lot of people's best shots this year.
They did, but the reason they held on to it is because of the West Coast Conference. I mean, let's be honest. They didn't know. St. Mary's was the only one in that league that could hold a candle to them. San Francisco couldn't touch them. There was only one team in that league that could play with Gonzaga.
And beat them.
Yeah, and did beat them pretty soundly on the road, but lost 2 out of 3. And again, Gonzaga, you got to give those guys credit. I mean, they've been to I think I want to say like 7 straight Sweet 16s, which is the most of any program. And again, Coach Few's done everything but win it. Hopefully, one of these years he'll break through. I've always liked him as a coach and the way he runs his program. My only problem with him is I love the pace they play with and the tempo, but there are a lot of times I don't think they're a physical enough team or a good enough defensive team. I thought they were last year, but they just ran into a Baylor team that was even more physical, even more talented, even quicker by the national championship game. But again, I just think overall when you look at Gonzaga, they're a great program. They're the best program on the West Coast. Yes, they're better than UCLA right now. UCLA is the West Coast last hope. We'll see if they can beat North Carolina tonight. Love Mick Cronin. I think he's an underrated coach. And, yes, they're better than Arizona. So, sorry, Arizona J. Ain't no miracles this time. Goodbye.
All right, so your other Sweet 16 games from last night. By the way, the win for Arkansas, though, it is their 6th time in program history since the field expanded to 64 teams that they will be in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. They do get number 2 seed Duke now, who had to score 49 points in the second half to get by Texas Tech. the upstart Texas Tech Red Raiders, who were trying to get back to the Elite Eight.
I don't call them upstart. I think they're one of the best defensive teams in the country. I actually thought that was probably Duke's best second half of the year, considering how good defensively Texas Tech is. And Duke shot, 70%. They 71%. They were amazing in the way they executed. They did a great job. And I thought once again, Jeremy Roach was the key. And he was the key last week as well. He's the engine of their team. And at times he hasn't played well this year. But right now in the tournament, he's been playing really well and shooting it really well. He did miss a big front end of a 1-and-1 last night. But besides that, he was nails. I mean, he made huge drives, big-time mid-range jumpers, outstanding passing. I mean, I just thought he was awesome. Mark Williams was really good around the rim. Denying some guys from Texas Tech throughout the game and late. Got a nasty dunk. Paolo Banchero, I thought he played huge, especially as a passer. I thought he did some really nice things, made 2 big threes as well. I just thought Duke executed at a very high level against a really good opponent because I'll be honest, I had steadfastly admitted I had Duke going out in this game, and they were a 1-point dog. And then I think at the very, a couple hours before tip, it ended up being a pick 'em. But there was a lot of people that thought Texas Tech could put Duke out. And I'm going to tell you what, if you watch the start of the game, they came out with howitzers. I mean, they were punching Duke. It was 10-2. Didn't look great. But then Duke, steadied itself and then started playing well. Texas Tech controlled the pace for much of the first half, but you just talked about it. Duke controlled the pace in the second half. It was played at an up-tempo pace, and once it started getting into the high 70s, that was to Duke's advantage because Texas Tech at times doesn't score a ton of points. They play a lot of games in the 60s and the low 70s, and Duke was able to up the tempo, and I just thought they had outstanding balanced scoring last night. They rebounded well when they had to because Texas Tech is a tough team.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they really do exploit you on the glass, and so I thought Duke did an outstanding job. And now it's going to be a fascinating matchup with Arkansas because, once again, Arkansas is going to try to control the pace and hold Duke in the 60s and low 70s. If they can do that, then Eric Musselman has a chance to get Arkansas back to the Final Four since the days of 40 Minutes of Hell and Nolan Richardson because they haven't been since.
This is Eric Musselman's second trip to the Elite Eight.
In a row.
In a row. I know it, and you brought up Eric Musselman, but he's doing this his way. A lot of transfers in there, doing it through the transfer portal. He's mixing it with a little bit of recruiting. But his style or his way seems to be working right now.
Oh, it is. His style works. He's himself. There's no doubt. Just not a huge fan of the histrionics and some of the running around like a jackass, taking your shirt off and all that other crap. But anyway, but I think he's a really good coach. I mean, I think he's done a great job. I mean, he's been a good fit for Arkansas.
Right.
No doubt about it. And again, you got to give him credit for back-to-back Elite Eights. And they haven't been to the Final Four since the mid-'90s. He's trying to get them there. He's got a chance to slay the dragon known as Duke. And, of course, it's Coach K's last ride. So that'll be a lot of media attention on Saturday. A lot of people will be hoping Coach K can get to a Final Four in his last season and get to New Orleans. But Arkansas, they're going to play the disrespect card quite a bit. They did against Gonzaga because everybody had the Zags a huge favorite to beat them, and they played with a chip on their shoulder. Jalen Williams said as much after the game, and I'm sure they're going to do it again because a lot of people are going to be rooting for this Duke team just simply because of Coach K, what he's meant to the game. And then, Duke played really well against a tough opponent because, I'm telling you, if Texas Tech had played Arkansas in the regional finals, that's a rock fight. That game might not get out of the 50s.
Is that how you have to recruit, though? Is that how you have to do things? John Calipari does it a little bit. Coach K has not done it to that extent, but they've gone out and gotten a couple guys. Is that how you have to recruit? Are the new coaches that are coming into the SEC Are they going to have to adopt this Eric Musselman style to compete, to go out and thrive through the transfer portal?
Everybody's going to use the portal, man. I mean, if you want
to the extent though that like Arkansas does. I mean,
I doubt it, because Arkansas a half to 3/4 of their roster is sometimes transfer portal guys. You still have to recruit your own guys and develop them. But everybody is going to fill holes through the portal. That's why the recruiting process has changed so much. That's why it's affected so many high school players.
Yeah.
That was a big topic yesterday. I was honored to be over at Sparkman High School to see 3 kids signed to go on to the next level. And they were all affected by the portal, but they're all still getting an opportunity. But in many cases, a 4-year opportunity. Kalen Lightford got one. But Josh Price, Landon Jacobs, sometimes you're going to have to start out on the JUCO level and work your way up, just simply because the transfer portal changes things.
All right, Jeff from the Borough with us on a Friday. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
How's it going, guys?
Good, man.
What do you think? Alabama women's got one more in them, Drew?
We'll see. I mean, they get either South Dakota State or Drake, I think, is the winner. They play
South Dakota State.
So South Dakota State did win.
At South Dakota State.
Oh, okay. They were going to try to find out if they were going to get to host again, or if they had to go on a long road trip. And I know with listening to Roger Hoover last night and Coach Curry, it was going to be a deal where it was going to be Sunday or Monday, and then they would find out.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's Sunday. I can't remember. I saw the brackets are online because Middle Tennessee beat Vanderbilt
55-53. Yep, that's right.
They're playing. They go to Toledo on Monday, so.
Okay.
They'll play Monday night, but they go there and play. It's the second time they beat Vanderbilt this year. Beat them twice in Murfreesboro. So, but they go to Toledo on Monday night for the next round. But as far as you guys, I'm sure there's some people that'll be for him. But like you guys know, it's either love or hate.
Yeah, it is. There's no in between.
There's no middle ground, and I don't really care who wins. Don't really matter. I guess if I have to root for somebody, though, I guess I'll have to root for the SEC this one time because I hate Duke worse than I hate Arkansas. So like I say, that's just part of it, and part of it is 92. If that hadn't happened, then I wouldn't. But I hate them for that reason, and that most Kentucky fans do because like Coach K said, I'm sorry I lost all this stuff. His career is what do you say, unforgettable, or whatever he said. But most Kentucky fans after '92 they think his career is unforgettable. I can tell you that. So I love Arkansas, put him on the golf course forever, as far as I'm concerned. And like I say, he's a great coach and all that stuff. But I'll take his histrionics over Coach K. At least you can spell Musselman's name and pronounce it. Can you spell Coach K? I don't think so. But I know Drew, but you're for Duke. You want to see him win it all, but some people do and some people don't. That's just the way it is. But and I know St. Peter's probably gonna get beat Purdue tonight, but they're a pretty good basketball team, and people don't think they are. But I sure would love to see them beat Purdue and get to the Final Eight. But y'all hang in there, guys. Have a good weekend. See you.
Yeah, that is tonight. The other half of the Elite Eight will get set this evening. And Purdue, St. Peter's, Purdue a 12.5-point favorite over St. Peter's tonight. Kansas is a 7.5-point favorite over Providence. UCLA is a 2-point favorite over North Carolina. And Miami is a 2.5-point favorite over Iowa State. We are guaranteed at least one double-digit seed making it to the Elite Eight.
We are, and we may not get a 1 seed through. We'll see.
How rare would that be if we didn't get a number 1 seed into the Elite Eight?
Yeah, it's not happened often where 3 number 1s have already gone down at this point in the tournament. I think it's only happened 3 other times. So that's huge where 3 number 1s are gone. And, of course, the mantra with some Alabama fans was, well, Nate Oates didn't coach this team up. They lost all these final what was that again? They lost all these Final Four teams. Where are those teams at? I really don't see them. There's only one left, and it's Houston.
Does that say much about the NCAA? Because we questioned whether or not Baylor should have been a number 1 seed.
They shouldn't have.
We questioned we didn't question Gonzaga. They deserve to be a number 1 seed. I thought
Tennessee did, but Tennessee went down in flames. So
I was going to say, we questioned the NCAA on who should have been number 1. But obviously, I mean, what a year though it has been.
No, it's
for this
not.
tournament.
It's not surprising. I mean, I didn't think there was a dominant team in college basketball this year. So it doesn't shock me that a lot of the 1 seeds have had trouble. We've seen 2 seeds go down as well early, including Jeff just brought it up. Kentucky went down in round number 1. Auburn went down in round 2 by 18. Nobody really saw that coming. I certainly didn't see Miami beating them like that. So it's just one of those things where the SEC did have a disappointing run in the tournament. Luckily, Arkansas has held the flag and got into the Elite Eight. So they once again they held it last year and got to the Elite Eight before their journey ended. So we'll see if they can put Duke out and get to New Orleans and get there for the first time since the mid-'90s. But I still think Duke's playing really well. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. And then tonight's matchups are interesting. Just simply because, Jimmy Larrañaga and what he's done at Miami and their turnaround. And, I wasn't sure how good a team they had after Alabama beat them 96-64, before Christmas. But they certainly got better. I think that was kind of a turning point for their team because they had to completely buy into playing a different way and playing basically 5 out because they didn't have a lot of size. And then, what they've done at Iowa State, that's in TJ's first year.
Yeah.
I mean, since coming over from UNLV, I mean, that's pretty amazing because,
maybe one of the biggest turnarounds in college basketball.
Yeah, we're 2-22 last year or something.
Yeah, now they're on the verge. I mean, they're 40 minutes away from making it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah,
and they'll have somewhat of a home court advantage because it is in Chicago.
Not far from campus.
6 hours.
Right?
It's about a 6-hour drive, a little bit more from Ames to Chicago.
Yeah. So, and we'll see. And then, again, can Kansas be a 1 seed that can stay alive? We don't know. But and it is pretty fascinating with St. Peter's and Purdue. Purdue is once again, just ring it up, last Big Ten team standing of the 9. We'll see if they can continue to advance. I don't think they're a good enough defensive team in some ways, but they have a good matchup tonight, even though don't underestimate St. Peter's because people have kind of been underestimating them the whole time, and they're a pretty good basketball team.
Who should feel worse right now, the Big Ten or the SEC? If Purdue loses tonight, they have nobody in the Elite Eight. SEC has 1 team at least going to the Elite Eight.
Well, I mean, I'd still say the Big Ten. They got 9 teams, and none of them are alive. And if
Purdue falls.
And if Purdue, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. If Purdue doesn't win tonight and they get beat by St. Peter's, that would be none in the Elite Eight. But, if I still think when you get 9 teams, that's pretty bad when you've only got 1 left. But the SEC was disappointing as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm not taking that away.
But again, Arkansas has proven and I'm not shocked Arkansas is still alive. They're a good team. They're a tough team to play against because of their style, and they do have some – because they did – last night, Amude got in big-time foul trouble. But because of Tony and because of some of the depth they have, they had some guys step up and make some plays, and they were able to beat Gonzaga and muck up the game enough to win it.
All right, Arizona Jay with us real fast. Good morning, Arizona Jay.
Yeah, well, that's how the cookie crumbles. Man, I saw the writing on the wall at like halftime.
Well, Houston is such a tough team, man. They play more physical than just about anybody. They are undersized, but they just murder you on the glass. I mean, they are one of the most difficult matchups in a one-game-and-done deal that you can draw. I mean, what Sampson's done is amazing, especially considering he lost 2 of his best players, his 6th man and then his leading scorer, and yet they've been able to retool. And I was not surprised at the outcome last night, just simply because I think Arizona's super skilled and they're big. But Houston, in a one-game and done deal, they're just really tough to deal with because of their physicality. And I think, and Arizona's young too. I mean, they're going to be back. Trust me. They've found the right coach. He's from the future. He's done a great job, and they're going to be a huge factor on the West Coast going forward. But again, it just wasn't a great matchup for them last night.
Well, I mean, Houston is like you got a whole squad full of Patrick Beverleys on that team.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, but this has always been Arizona's problem when like I've been saying it, when we rank real high, when we're a really high seed, it's like if you're at the dog track, throw away your ticket before the race is done. You know what I mean? And that's always been Arizona's problem, is like that killer Kobe Black Mamba instinct, that toughness. It's like when we get, and like that last game, which, that most likely was a foul. We probably shouldn't even advance, but you would have thought that would have woke them up. But it did. It kind of made them regress, because I was watching. First, I was listening to the car. Then I got home, was able to watch it, and it was like dude was missing. I forget the new Agent Zero, the guy from Montreal. Basically, he was like missing shots and laughing about it. And it was like, yeah, this is over right here. And it's that just dog like desire to finish. You know what I mean? They've always had that problem. That's why, not being a Tucsonian, we've always said we should have like 3 or 4 titles by now. But always when we get around the Final Four, Elite Eight, or even the title game, it's like we just like butt cheeks get tight. That, you know what I mean? It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's one of the toughest things to do in sports. But you're right. If I remember correctly, when Arizona won it in '97, they were the last West Coast team to do it. They beat Kentucky in the finals. With Miles Simon being MVP and Mike Bibby, and I believe that team was either a 4 or a 5 seed. So again, it can be very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, like they say, tough at the top, but it's like we always at the top, and it's kind of like. But I mean, at the same time, look at me complaining, and then there's schools that, I mean, even them making the tournament is like they'll friggin' have a whole parade in whatever city they're in or whatever just for making the tournament, but. And that's what I say about that. This is the beginning of Auburn basketball program running that. Like, you make it every year, but, you want a title out of it. You know what I mean? That's the only heartache about it. It's like you're spoiled but heartbroken every year.
All right, man. Thanks for the call, bud.
All right, fellas.
All right, Let's get our first break in. When we come back, we'll continue some basketball news. Auburn loses one to the transfer portal, and we'll continue to fill you in on the Elite Eight.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Redmont Vodka and Vulcan Gin. Alabama-made premium quality spirits owned by our very own Charles Barkley. 8 times distilled, gluten-free, and non-GMO. Whether you choose to sip Redmont on the rocks or blend it with your favorite mixers, you will definitely be able to taste the difference. Pick up some Redmont Vodka and Vulcan Gin today. Available in ABC stores and package stores. For more information, visit us at RedmontDistilling.com. Also, follow us on Instagram at Redmont Distilling. Support local, enjoy responsibly.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000 square foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
March means basketball, and nothing goes better with basketball than a little badness from Bad Daddy's Burgers. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's is the place for chef-inspired burgers, giant chopped salads, and craft beer. Enjoy the madness with some badness at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
America First Alabama PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising. North Alabama needs a Trump-tested conservative representing us in Congress. We need Republican Casey Wardynski. Casey Wardynski served as Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs under President Trump, responsible for the supervision of the Army's 1.3 million person manpower. Casey Wardynski believes in restoring integrity of elections and will push back against the leftist schemes of Nancy Pelosi to weaken elections. Casey Wardynski also agrees with President Trump and will fully fund the wall and finish the job he helped to start. Casey Wardynski will fight the socialist left who are tearing down monuments and statues that memorialize America's history. Enough is enough. It's time to drain the swamp and send a Trump-tested conservative to Washington. We can count on Republican Casey Wardynski.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could see 60 degrees, but that number is going to be hard to come by. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but at the end of the day, most of us going to stay dry. Temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight, into the first half of your weekend. Plenty of sunshine through Saturday afternoon. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
April means A-Day.
You know, folks, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Alabama is still Alabama.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And welcome back to Talkin Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're with you until 9 a.m. on this Friday morning. And Devin Cambridge announcing that he is going to enter the transfer portal. Now, there's another side to this story as well. On the same day that he entered the transfer portal, his brother Desmond Cambridge from Nevada entered the transfer portal as well, and the two of them planning on teaming up to play 1 year together.
Yeah, and with Cambridge at Auburn, I think there was some thought after the season that he would more than likely move on, just simply because they have a logjam of two guards and wings at Auburn, and I think most of them are coming back. In other words, I don't think there's those guys are, especially Alan Flanagan, who had a little bit of trouble gaining traction with this team this year after being the leading scorer and the best player the year before, but simply because they brought in a top 3 pick, they brought in Walker Kessler, they brought in some different guys, and of course a completely new backcourt. But again, Cambridge was a guy that came off the bench most of the year, did some dirty work, rebounding, defending, and made shots, but is not a guy that's considered a great shooter per se. And he's a really good athlete, freakish guy. But again, I don't think that he was anticipating being a starter next year at Auburn. And as you said, his brother at Nevada, they would like to play together for a year. It'll be interesting to see what university where they end up resurfacing. But again, not really a shock that Cambridge is moving on, because just kind of doing some digging after the season ended, he was one of the guys that I think many thought might move on for Auburn.
And then the other really thing to keep an eye on is that Tennessee is going to keep Rick Barnes at least through the 2026-2027 season, as he does agree to a contract extension yesterday.
Well, and they should lock up Rick Barnes. I mean, I know he hasn't had as much NCAA tournament success as some of the Vol Nation would want, but again, he's done a great job of reestablishing Tennessee as a top 20 program. I thought they had an outstanding team. They were my pick to win it all. I was stunned that they lost to Michigan and the way they shot the ball the second half. But the one bugaboo with their team is every now and then they would go through some struggles offensively.
They were kind of like Auburn in mirroring things a little bit. Auburn had stretches where they looked really good. Tennessee had stretches where they looked really good. And both of them had stretches where they just looked pretty bad.
Well, in Tennessee, the second half of the season played their best basketball. That's why they won the SEC tournament for the first time since '79. And I just thought with the way they were playing and beating Kentucky the way they did 2 out of 3, I just thought they were really primed to make a run. But that's what makes the NCAA tournament so unpredictable.
Rick Barnes, by the way, in 7 seasons in Knoxville.
It's hard to believe he's already been there 7 years.
150-81 with 4 NCAA tournament appearances.
Yep. I mean, he's done a good job finally helping Tennessee move on from Bruce Pearl.
Basically, he has taken what he did at Texas and brought it into Knoxville. I mean, including the tournament runs. I mean, that was the thing at Texas that got Rick Barnes out of Austin, was the fact that he wasn't able to get it done in the NCAA tournament.
And we'll see what Chris Beard does. He's only been there 1 year, but so far for Texas, that ain't worked out too good.
Well, it didn't work out good with Shaka Smart.
No. So,
who, by the way, I forgot was at Marquette this year. I saw him.
Yeah, he was in his first year at Marquette. They got to the tournament and forgot what time the tip was and lost by 30. In other words, it was another F for me because I picked Marquette because I thought Shaka would have his team ready to go. He's had NCAA tournament success. He had a lot at VCU, had a little bit at Texas, but people forget he lost to Stephen F. Austin in the first round in the NCAAs last year, and then this year his team wasn't ready. So,
256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We do want to hear from you on this Friday morning, and we'll continue to talk NCAA basketball as tonight the other half of the Elite Eight will get set. But I did see this yesterday, and it is a little college football news and note. Ole Miss has brought in David Cutcliffe as a special assistant. The former Rebel head coach, former Duke Blue Devil head coach, Tennessee assistant, Alabama high school football coach back in the day, now at Ole Miss as a special assistant. Is this the Rebels trying to make play for?
I thought that he had been hired by the SEC by Greg Sankey as a special assistant for football with the SEC office.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I thought it read Ole Miss. I read that backwards. You're right, SEC.
Yeah, he's going to be working for Greg Sankey in a special support role. Close to him in football. It's a situation where a lot of people thought he might go to Texas and work for Steve Sarkisian,
right?
And help maybe give them a leg up in the Arch Manning sweepstakes. But now he's going to be working for Greg Sankey in the SEC, so he's not going to Austin, Texas. Certainly not going back to Ole Miss, where he was head coach, as you just mentioned at one time, and recruited Eli Manning. He was Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator at Tennessee, very close to the Manning family. But now that will not be a factor in Arch Manning's recruitment. It doesn't look like. Now, that rumor had been out there since he retired from Duke that he might be going to Texas, but he will be working for Greg Sankey, and so we may see him at SEC Media Days potentially when we go to Atlanta this year.
And he says his goal is to help further advance SEC football.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 out of the 4 final playoff teams. I mean, that's what we want.
Play a lot of golf.
Yeah. All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And last night, the UNA Lions did something that they have not done, I don't think, in forever. and that is they played their spring game on campus.
Yeah, they did.
Last night. They played it on the practice fields. They brought in some temporary seating for that one. Nice little environment there for Chris Willis. They wrapped up, hard to believe they've wrapped up spring practice last night with their little on-campus spring game.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're excited because, again, this is something where they're going to be a full-fledged member of the A-Sun. They're going to be eligible for a championship. They're going to be eligible for the playoffs. So they're excited. I mean, this has been a long process. I know Chris Willis, he always told us how difficult it was in a way. And when you're trying to recruit against the Jacksonville States of the world, the Troys, all these other that are eligible to win their conference and to eligible to reach the playoffs, it's always great when you can sell the same thing, and certainly they can. And I think Josh Looney is already trying to change the way things are done with UNA Athletics and do a great job of marketing things and do a great job of thinking outside the box, and I think this is another situation where that happened.
All right, 7:40 on a Friday morning. Let's get that break in. When we come back, we'll continue to get you ready for some Elite Eight basketball, as well as phone lines open to you, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could see 60 degrees, but that number is going to be hard to come by. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but at the end of the day, most of us going to stay dry. Temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight, into the first half of your weekend. Plenty of sunshine through Saturday afternoon. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
The PGA Tour's Corn Ferry Tour is coming to the Rocket City. Join us at the Ledges for the inaugural Huntsville Championship, April 29th through May 2nd. Experience the beauty and drama of the course firsthand. Witness golf's rising stars chase their PGA Tour dreams. Cheer on the future of golf up close and personal. Tickets are on sale now at HuntsvilleChampionship.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
I love overpriced stuff. Avocados, designer t-shirts, artisanal water. That's why I get my internet from the other guys. Paying more for the same stuff. What could be better?
Wow is better. For just $19.99 a month, we give you the super fast, extra reliable internet you need. Act now before this deal is gone. Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month. Plus, learn how to get up to $300 on us. Sign up at Huawei.com. Wow. Limited to new customers with auto pay and paperless billing. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. Stop into the University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Go Mustangs!
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number 2. The Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning. And coming up tonight, 4th seed UCLA, 8th seed North Carolina, 10th seed Miami, 11th seed Iowa State, 3 seed Purdue, 15th seed St. Peter's, and number 1 Kansas, 4th seed Providence. Those are your games tonight to finish up the Elite 8. How shocking would it be if 4th seed Providence gets by Kansas?
Not a big shock. I haven't been a believer in Kansas all year. I thought they were the weakest of the 1 seeds, and they're the last one standing. So we'll see if they can get to New Orleans. But Jeff Goodman of Stadium tweeted this morning that Kansas is the betting favorite right now to win the national championship. Well, I would certainly put all my chips on the other side. We will see. But, again, it would not surprise me if Ed Cooley and Providence, who I've underestimated all year long, they were I believe the regular season Big East champion, even over Villanova. And so, again, we will see. But I think that Houston-Villanova game is going to be fascinating on Saturday, just simply because it's 2 of the best coaches in the country, 2 of the best cultures in the country. The culture in Houston's about toughness, rebounding, defending, and just basically being able to out-physical you, while at Villanova it's about being fundamental, out-executing you, playing below the rim, playing great team basketball, moving the ball. They're not, neither one of these teams have great size, but boy, they know how to play, and it's going to be a really, really, really good coaching matchup between Kelvin Sampson, one of the more underrated guys in the business, and then Jay Wright, a 2-time national champion who has a chance to get to his 3rd Final Four in 6 years.
All right, if you head to Twitter, or not head to Twitter, I was on Twitter yesterday, and this kind of goes with our conversation that we had about SEC, or not SEC, but NCAA officiating. And we have had him on the show a couple times, and that is Seth Greenberg.
Yes.
And Seth Greenberg last night during the Arkansas Gonzaga game, I don't know if you saw this tweet or not.
I did not.
This is what Seth Greenberg said last night. And he put on there, Doug Shows should not have been officiating that game. You can earn your way to the next round, and I haven't said anything about officiating all year, but you need and in capitalization, best officials on these games. And he goes, at NCAA, having said that, Razorbacks men's basketball deserved to win. In other words,
Doug's terrible.
Add another one to the not so fan of Doug Shouse.
He's awful. We're going to talk to Blake Lovell on this show, and Blake talked about no matter what team he tweeted last night, no matter what team you root for, the state of officiating is brutal, and part of the reason it is because of clowns like Doug Shouse. who is not very good, hasn't been very good for years, thinks everybody paid their $50 to watch him in a tight referee shirt run around and be the star and make big calls. And he's just, to me, he's never been any good. And, he's right up there with John Clockerty and Tim Clockerty and some of these other guys. And, I've never been a big fan. Pat Adams, same deal. Some of these guys that have officiated for a long time, unfortunately there is a shortage because it's not an easy job.
Right.
Let's understand that. It is not. I have a really good friend who is a rising college official, and he's an outstanding high school official. He continues to rise up the ranks in college officiating, but again, it's really tough. But there are some guys that just stick out like a sore thumb. And, I agree with Coach Greenberg. I don't think Doug Shaw should have been in that game, and I don't think we should see him the rest of the tournament, but we'll see.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth
And remember,
Management Hotline.
he was on the floor for the end of that TCU-Arizona game where they called nothing.
That is true. He was,
with the mid-court situation where it looked like it could have been a foul. It looked like at least it could have been back court to stop play. They didn't blow a whistle. They didn't do anything. So again, not a big fan of Doug Show's. Agreed with Coach.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and. There were some questions that were on the football side, and it's always fun to read these questions that are submitted to the Athletic. And I saw these the other day, and I thought, man, they're kind of something interesting as we get into spring football and going from basketball to football. One of the questions that was asked is, how do non-Georgia fans actually feel about Stetson Bennett, and where would they rank Stetson Bennett as a quarterback in the conference in the SEC?
Are you talking about going into next year?
Yeah. I mean, going into this next year, how should non-Georgia fans feel about Stetson Bennett? How do they feel about him, and where would you put him among the elite quarterbacks in the SEC? Going into this next year?
I'd probably put him in the top 4 or 5, but I definitely wouldn't put him at number 1. Everybody knows who that is. That's Bryce Young. But I probably wouldn't even put him number 2. I would say Hendon Hooker at Tennessee had a better statistical year. Certainly he needs to be in the upper echelon. He won the national title, but I don't think he's in the top, even 2 or 3 of guys that are returning. But again, that's just my opinion. I don't think it doesn't mean he's not a good player.
Right. We're not taking away from him being good. I mean, he did help Georgia win a national championship, but he may not be the elite of the elite. He may just be a good quarterback.
And we don't know how the Auburn situation is going to play itself out. We think we know in Texas A&M, but we haven't seen enough of Haynes King to make a judgment on him. But we'll see. I mean, I do think that he's in the top 4 or 5, but I don't know that I would put him, in the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks within the SEC, because I think there's some guys, even if they didn't win a lot of football games, that are really good quarterbacks. Just because you don't win a championship doesn't mean you're not a good player, but I do think he's still a guy that's got to be in that top 4 or 5.
All right, a couple of the other questions. Do you think Kentucky's offense took a step forward or backwards with a new offensive coordinator? And can Mark Stoops pull off another 10-win season this year?
I don't know about a 10-win season. That may be difficult, but I certainly think they took some steps forward. I know Liam Cohen went back to the NFL, and they made another NFL hire, but I still think that Kentucky definitely made a lot of improvement, but they've got to replace the production of Wan'Dale Robinson.
And then the other one, really, Alabama, the clear favorite again in the West, Georgia in the East. Which teams would you pick if you had to predict the number 2 in each division?
That's tough. Right now I would probably have to go with LSU and Brian Kelly. I know they
over Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, yep. Absolutely, because I think one's a better coach than the other, and Brian Kelly being a better coach than 8-4, and I think that overall, I think all the transfer portal additions for LSU, if they work out, they could be a 9-win plus team. I don't know yet because again, A&M also lost Mike Elko. Let's not forget that he's the new coach at Duke, and they've got DJ Durkin coming in there. Now, they've got the best D-line money can buy. And, yes, the best D-line money can buy. That's exactly how they got all those kids. So we all know they have a lot of talent on the D-line. They should be really good up front. If not, they should fire everybody on their coaching staff because they paid for crap. But I don't think they did. I think they paid for some really good players.
Right.
And I think they spent their money wisely at ATM. And I think they'll have a really good defensive line, even without DeMarvin Leal. Of course, I thought it was interesting. Some of their 40 times were released at their pro day for Texas A&M, and I thought maybe they had money in their pockets because the 40 times weren't what you would have expected from guys that are supposed to be high draft picks, but including one of their safeties running a 4.7. But anyway, I still think they're going to be good defensively. Durkin is a good defensive coordinator. I'm not saying he's not a quality hire. I think he did a really good job last year at Ole Miss. But, again, we'll see, the skill guys at Texas A&M. They lost an outstanding running back, and they do have A-Chain back, and A-Chain's got a lot of speed. And, again, it's all going to come down to how good Haynes King is because we really don't know. I mean, because he missed the majority of the season. He had thrown, I think, 3 picks and maybe 2 touchdowns before he went down. The production we hadn't seen a lot yet. It was modest, let's just say.
Yeah.
So we'll see how good he is. But if you had to ask me, I would probably still go with LSU. I think they've done, especially if they can hold on to Keyshawn Butte. Now we won't know that till after spring, and then seeing how his Achilles recovery's going and everything with Butte. So. And if he goes into the portal, does he end up in Tuscaloosa? Because there's been a lot of speculation about that. But again, we will see. But I would say LSU. I like some of their hires as well on their coaching staff, especially Frank Wilson. So I mean, I think that's still kind of an unknown. But if you had to ask me right now who I like, I still like LSU. I do, but I will say this. The team that is sneaking around, still got some talent, I think is definitely someone that with KJ Jefferson back, who we didn't really mention him, but he's another quarterback that played a lot last year that was very productive. Arkansas, I know they lost a lot defensively, and that's where the unknown is. But Arkansas and Sam Pittman, I would watch them as well.
All right, that's hour 1 in the books. When we come back, I'm going to bring in our first guest of the morning as we talk a little Alabama football recruiting. Stay on the topic of the SEC West. We'll talk about Alabama football recruiting when we kick off hour number 2 of Talking Ball on our final show of the week.
Yeah, Hank South, BamaOnline.com. Been a while since we've caught up with Hank. A lot going on in Alabama recruiting. We've been talking about it this week, and Hank South's going to join us next.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could see 60 degrees, but that number is going to be hard to come by. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but at the end of the day, most of us going to stay dry. Temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight, into the first half of your weekend. Plenty of sunshine through Saturday afternoon. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
Less than 2 weeks until the start of the Major League Baseball season. The Dodgers are the odds-on favorite to win the World Series at plus 450. The Blue Jays at plus 800. The Astros looking for their fourth American League pennant in 5 years. Third on the board at plus 950. The Sweet 16 continues tonight. St. Peter's, the 15th seed in the East region, a 12.5-point underdog against third-seeded Purdue. Later 8th-seeded North Carolina, a 2-point underdog against 4th-seeded UCLA. In the Midwest region, 4th-seeded Providence, plus 7.5 against top-ranked Kansas. And 11th-seeded Iowa State, a 2.5-point underdog against 10th-seeded Miami.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. And we finished hour 1 talking a little football. Let's continue to talk a little football as we put the ball on the tee and kick off hour number 2, our final show of the week here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Alabama football recruiting takes center stage to kick off hour 2.
Yeah, it does, because it never stops, and Alabama spring practice well underway. The first full week, really, is going to continue to roll on. They will practice today and Saturday, as you heard Nick Saban before our show talking about that Friday and Saturday were really their only 2 back-to-backs. But that also means young men are visiting campus and really visiting campus throughout the week. They've continued to bring in big-time players to the University of Alabama. And, this in-state class in 2023 is probably the most talented I've ever seen. And they've already had some guys come in this week to visit practice. And we all know we've been talking about Arch Manning this week, Scott. Arch coming back for the first week of April. And who better than to break a lot of that down? He's been covering recruiting now for several years as the recruiting reporter for Bama Online 24/7 and 24/7 Sports, and that is Hank South, who's been good enough to join us this morning for a few quick minutes. Hank, it's great to catch up with you, man. You were with Drew and Scott this morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing well, man. Thank you for taking some time to join us. I know the last time we spoke with you, we briefly hit on it because we were basically wrapping 2022, but we started talking about 23. It's an extremely talented in-state group, Hank, and at a good time for Alabama because they only signed 3 defensive linemen last year, and this state, that's kind of the definition of it. It's loaded in the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what catches your eye first when you're going down the list of the in-state kids. It starts off with guys like Peter Wood, James Kelby Collins, Tildrick Falk, Tamarian Parker. You could pretty much sign your entire defensive line class, Hunter Osborne as well from Hewitt-Trussville, you could pretty much sign your defensive line class all from the state of Alabama. And so, we really seen Alabama attack that, get these guys on campus as much as possible. We saw Kelby Collins on campus Wednesday for spring practice, which was actually the first time he's ever been to an Alabama haven't been able to have visitors for a few years.
Yeah.
So that was his first chance to kind of see a practice happen and see how those are conducted at Alabama, and he had really good things to say about that. But yeah, you look at kind of in terms of rankings, James Smith, Peter Woods, those are two of the 5-star defensive linemen in the class, and then guys like Kelby Collins and Keldrick Falk, Tamarian Parker, they're really not that much far behind that. And then you go beyond that at the linebacker spot, guys like Quay Rousseau, Yanze Pierre, and you almost have entire defensive class filled out just staying home. So it really is loaded, and like you said, it's a big year for that. After not a bad defensive line haul in the state in the 2022 class, but in terms of numbers, there weren't a lot. So it's a chance for Alabama to really load up, and it's a big year in state for them to do that.
It sounds like there's a great emphasis too on that defensive side of the ball right now.
Yeah, sorry, I was swallowing coffee. You have the defensive line, obviously, we just talked about linebackers. Quay Rousseau is considered one of the top prospects overall in the country, not just at the linebacker spot. I think some services have him as a 5-star top edge rusher. And then beyond that, you got another elite group of guys, already have Jaleel Hurley committed. He's in the class helping recruit, 5-star cornerback from Florence. You got the 5-star cornerback in Tony Mitchell at Thompson High School in Alabaster. He's right there in the mix, heavily considering Alabama, Florida, Texas A&M, those schools. And then you got A.J. Harris, who's been kind of a little bit of a question mark in terms of, how hard is Bama pushing? Is he going to be part of this class? I know there's been some Florida buzz for him lately. But, if Bama does push there, if they are, actively recruiting him as a priority target, I think Bama's right there in his top group. So, really the defensive side of the ball is really what's impressive. But that's not to say, there's offensive targets that they're going after pretty hard too, with guys like Raquazi McElderry, Carmelo English, the 4-star receiver from Phoenix City. So there's certainly guys there too as well that they're recruiting pretty hard.
Hank, would it be safe to say because we've been tracking Peter Woods for a long time, even Kelby Collins, I know. A couple years ago, I started hearing about him. Hunter Osborne, I saw him 2 years ago at Hewitt-Trussville. James Smith, because he spent some time at IMG. But Quay Rousseau kind of seems like the guy that in the last year has really rocketed up the charts. And now he and James Smith, the teammates at Carver Montgomery, are headed to Texas A&M this weekend. We'll see. But first, I guess just a two-part question. Talk about kind of Rousseau and his rise, and then how concerned should Alabama be with Texas A&M getting these two cats on campus?
Yeah, he really has taken off. I remember his trainer, Tyrone Varner from Madhouse in Montgomery. I was asking him, who does he have coming up? And that was the first one he mentioned. You have guys like the James Smith, and that was back when Curtis Perry was still a recruit. So those are all the people asking questions. Is James Smith, Curtis Perry, those are who they're talking about. But he's like, I have this guy Quay Rousseau. He's going to be big, and certainly has shown that. He's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he has the numbers. He's really kind of just dominated at every chance he's had, whether that be in testing on camp circuits or just on the field putting it on tape. So he's really taken off. He's certainly a priority for just about every SEC program, it seems. And they're going to Texas A&M, and it's something to watch. Texas A&M has recruited really well, obviously. I think they signed just about every defensive lineman in the country in 2023, and they're in the mix for LT Overton to add him too late. I don't know if the depth chart's going to be a factor there for guys like James Smith or even Quay Rousseau. But it's something to watch. They've certainly become a recruiting power, and you got to keep an eye on that. But again, we've seen guys from Montgomery go out to Texas A&M, and we've seen guys go to Texas A&M from Montgomery. I think what was his name? James Foster, the quarterback from Montgomery.
He did.
Years ago, there was a lineman as well that went out there. But, I think in the end, I think with these two in particular, I think it's more of an Alabama-Georgia thing, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit of Auburn in there as well, but more so Alabama versus Georgia when it comes down to it. But, of course, you got to keep an eye on the visits, and Texas A&M is in there as well.
We've talked a lot about the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Alabama fans always have an interest in the offensive line. What does Alabama have, or what are they looking at as far as shoring up that offensive line?
Yeah, they got a lot of good options. And starting this weekend, and not even starting this weekend, it's been happening this year. A couple of their big targets are returning to campus. Olaus Alinen, he's the Finnish offensive lineman from Connecticut right now, but he's from Finland originally. He's going to be back on campus for a couple days. This will be his fourth visit overall. So certainly very familiar with Alabama. Getting more familiar with Eric Wolford, who he already knew from his previous stops, and he's a kid that's named Bama his leader in the past, and I think Bama still has the edge right there for him. He's still taking his time. He's going to do his official visits in the summer, but I think when it comes down to it, he's looking at Bama and Ohio State, and I think Bama has the edge for him right now. We'll see what this weekend does. Then another big offensive line target expected back for a second visit this year alone is Miles McVay from East St. Louis, Illinois. He's coming down. He was on campus in January, coming back down this weekend, and he also camped last summer. And the interesting note about him is when he camped last summer, he got an offer after the camp, but he got the offer pretty much based on he was the only one that slowed down James Smith in camp last summer. So certainly a pretty big feat there, and impressed the staff when he had the chance to in person. So he'll be back on campus. I think Bama has a really good shot for him as well. But beyond that, we talked about Raquazi McElderry, the Georgia commit that's at Anniston High School. I think you can keep him on flip alert. I think he's real interested in Alabama. He's going to be at Tennessee this weekend, but I think when it comes down to it, if he's not going to Georgia, I think he's going to Alabama. And then beyond him, you got guys like the number one tackle in the country, Caden Proctor, out of Iowa. He's going to be in for an official visit. I think Bama's in his top three. You got Peyton Kirkland, one of the top linemen in the country out of Florida. He's supposed to he's taking two visits to Alabama, one next weekend, June 1st, and then he's taking an official visit to Alabama in June as well. So he's got two visits, then he's announcing a decision in July. So big target there. So there's certainly a bunch of options. I think Bama's going to, have a pretty successful class at that position as well.
We're talking to Hank South, recruiting reporter for BamaOnline.com. A few more minutes with him. We appreciate his time as always. I know one thing to track this weekend. Walter Steen is supposed to be coming in. The young man, Tyler Steen. Pardon me, I got Walter Nolan on the brain. But Tyler Steen from Vanderbilt, the graduate transfer offensive tackle. I know you guys are tracking this as well, Hank. I thought, this week of spring practice would be big. And I know Eric Wolford and Coach Saban have to make that decision ultimately if they are going to pursue heavily Mr. Steen. What are you guys hearing on that deal and about this visit going into the weekend?
Yeah, it sounds like Bama's really interested. I don't think they would be bringing him in on an official visit if they didn't want him as part of the class. So it's certainly something we're watching. And, with covering Alabama, there's kind of a cocky element. It's like, if he's going to go somewhere, he's probably going to go to Alabama where he could step in and play right away in place of Evan Neal or, departing offensive lineman. So I think that's been everyone's assumption that I've talked to that's covering this recruitment. He's been visiting LSU, Kentucky, but everyone's kind of the consensus is, if Bama wants him, he's going to go to Alabama. So that's kind of what we're keeping an eye on this weekend. We'll see how the visit goes, but all feedback on Eric Wolford so far is very positive. All the linemen love him. We talked about offensive line. I didn't even mention the hometown target in Wilkin Formby.
Oh yeah, you just talked to him too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and he was on campus Wednesday as well. So, he's been one that's raved about him the most. So, I think Bama has a good chance there. We'll see how the weekend goes. Tyler Steen isn't talking much. I think his dad's doing most of the interviews. But, you got to imagine he's making a decision pretty soon with these official visits wrapping up. And I think Bama has a good shot for him in the end.
Well, and, of course, quarterback. we kind of saved that for the end. Everybody tracking Arch Manning. I know you guys at 24/7 have reported that he's going to be back on campus in April, which would be in the first week of April, which is going to be his third visit. And then the interesting kind of dynamic of the last couple of weeks has been kind of the rise of Eli Holstein. So talk about where Alabama is from a quarterback perspective, because I know they want to sign an elite player in this class because Bryce Young will almost be definitely going to be moving on to the NFL after next year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, with Bryce leaving, you know, assuming that's the case, they're going to be left with two scholarship quarterbacks with Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe, and so it's almost a situation where, you know, it wouldn't be a shock to see Bama try to sign two quarterbacks in 2023, or, you know, obviously the transfer portal can help you there too later down the line. But yeah, you know, we saw Nico Iamaleava commit to Tennessee. That wasn't a shock, you know, with the NIL stuff, and you know that visit he took a couple weeks ago. You know, they kind of sealed the deal there with him. So, you know, I would assume he's out of the mix. I don't think he's a guy we didn't detract anymore. So really it comes down to, like you said, Arch Manning, the number one player in the country, and then Eli Holstein, who's a guy that's been on the radar. He's also from Louisiana, four-star quarterback. He was committed to Texas A&M. He decommitted 2 weeks ago, or was it last week? He decommitted in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
From Texas A&M. So now he's reopened his recruitment, but you know, while he was committed to A&M, he wasn't making it real secret that he was very interested in Alabama. He took a visit to Tuscaloosa. Well, he camped last summer, got his offer. Then he took a visit for the Alabama LSU game this past fall, and then he was back on campus for Junior Day on March 5th. So 3 visits in the last year. 2 of them came while he was committed to Texas A&M. We caught up with his coach, who was saying, you know, obviously, you know, saying what you would expect, you know, what he thinks of Alabama, what they've done at the quarterback position and all that. And the biggest thing he was saying was he was still taking visits despite his commitment, just to make sure he was making the right decision. So clearly, it looks like Bama probably got him thinking about, you know, whether Texas A&M was the right decision, because he did end up decommitting. If I had to pick, honestly, you know, I think Holstein's probably trending a little bit more to Alabama than Arch Manning at this point.
Interesting, yeah.
And that's not to say that Bama still has a very real shot for Arch Manning. You know, he's going to be on campus next weekend for his 3rd visit. He's at Texas this week. He was at Georgia last weekend. So those are the 3 visits that he's taken out of the gate for this spring. You know, I think all these schools you could probably make an argument for as to why they could land him. And then Holstein, you know, it just seems like he's a little bit more, you know, if you follow his recruitment right now, it just seems more trending towards Alabama maybe than Arch Manning. And I don't think Bama fans need to get really dismayed about that. You know, Holstein's a really talented kid as well. You know, he's very high on Alabama's board. You know, he's a guy, you know, you put next to Arch Manning, and you know they both have committable offers. So that says what Alabama thinks of him at this point. They're not waiting for an Arch Manning decision. You know, Holstein's the guy that they want in their class. So certainly a kid high on the board, a guy they like, and a guy I think could end up. You know, Steve Wilfong reported earlier this week that he'll be back, or he's trying to get back to Alabama. So maybe you know, he comes for the spring game or something, and you know, prior to A-Day for another visit. But those are the 2 guys to watch. And then, you know, there could be other names that pop up. You know, Dylan Lonergan, a 4-star quarterback from Georgia. He's actually supposed to visit next weekend as well. He got a camp offer. I'm not really sure where he sits on Bama's want list, but a guy they're interested in. And then obviously the local product in Christopher Vizina doesn't have an offer yet, but you know, still communicating with Alabama. You know, he certainly would like an Alabama offer. He has just about every other offer, but Bama hasn't pulled the trigger there just yet. Maybe we see that happen this spring. So, yeah, certainly an interesting quarterback cycle for sure.
Yeah, needless to say, with or without Arch Manning, that quarterback room is still going to have plenty of talent in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, you know, it could be a situation where you sign 2 quarterbacks in 2023. Maybe a guy is a late bloomer. You know, I'm not saying this is going to happen in this cycle, but C.J. Stroud was a guy that really didn't start exploding on his own recruiting cycle until the summer before his senior season. He really didn't start getting hype, and then obviously now he's at Ohio State and a Heisman contender. So there's guys that can pop up. There's guys that they'll have at camp, and maybe it's a situation where they take 2, or maybe they try to supplement whoever they sign from the high school level with maybe an experienced transfer portal guy too. So that's always an element we have to take into consideration now as well.
And then, Hank, there's a guy in state that, you know, I've been tracking, and I know Alabama hasn't really offered him, but if they did, it could change some things, and that's Christopher Vizina.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've talked to him. You know, he's keeping track. He's keeping up with Freddie Roach, who's the Birmingham area recruiter. You know, we'll see what happens there. You know, obviously Bama was the school he cheered for growing up. He's from Birmingham. You know, he's been an Alabama fan, so you know that offer would mean a lot to him. You know, there's other schools that are obviously pushing harder for him. You know, Notre Dame. You know, Clemson's pushing for him. Auburn's pushing for him. So you know, he's got plenty of interest. You know, if Bama comes in late and offers him, you know, will that be enough to, you know, sway him? We've seen it happen in the past with other kids, so potentially. But he is supposed to visit sometime this spring. You know, I would imagine Bama wants to see him throw, maybe live a little bit more before they pursue him any harder. But yeah, he's a guy to definitely keep his name in your back pocket.
No question. Well, Hank, we know you're drinking some coffee right now, and we know why, because this stuff never stops. You have to track it. And sleep can sometimes be hard to come by, but we appreciate you for joining us. Let everybody know how to follow you on BamaOnline.com and your recruiting coverage.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, BamaOnline.com. I think the first month right now is $1 if you sign up today. So good time to join with spring practice in full gear and visits happening. And then my Twitter handle is @HankSouth247.
Yeah, no doubt. And Hank's even already tracking 2024 quarterbacks, and I was tipped off of this at the state basketball tournament. Josh Flowers gets offered this weekend, was on campus from Baker High School in Mobile. Another name to remember in the future. But you're doing a great job, Hank. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks. All right. Hank South with us. A little Alabama football recruiting there. And obviously with spring practice going on, and then you got A-Day coming up, there'll be a lot of guys on campus here and there. I find it interesting that that one guy is his first spring practice.
Yeah, Kobe Collins. Yeah,
and
well, because of COVID.
Keep in mind, I was just going to say.
Yeah, they weren't allowing kids to come visit.
Kind of getting back to a little bit. I mean, we're back there now, but recruiting still kind of getting back to the adjustment periods. Let's get a break in. When we come back, how about Blake Lovell? Should we have him join us to talk a little NCAA basketball?
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Let's talk some Elite 8, Sweet 16.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could see 60 degrees, but that number is going to be hard to come by. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but at the end of the day, most of us going to stay dry. Temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight, into the first half of your weekend. Plenty of sunshine through Saturday afternoon. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
For over 20 years, Audio Insight has been designing and installing systems that integrate today's technology into homes and businesses all over the Tennessee Valley. At Audio Insight, they don't provide one-size-fits-all system solutions. Instead, they design your system from the ground up based on your valuable input. By working closely with you, Audio Insights can ensure that your system will meet your performance, budget, and aesthetic needs. Visit the showroom at 1229 Putman Drive off Jordan Lane and experience some of their fine products firsthand. Visit audio-insight.com to learn more.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey man, this is John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church. Hey, whether your own marriage is like 1st and goal on the 1-yard line or you're sitting at 2nd and 26, there's things that can be learned which will help us grow in our marriages and grow closer to God and to each other and to finish the game well. So if you are married, single, or single again, our new marriage series, I Do, Building Our Marriage, is for you. Join us this Sunday at Cross Point Church at 9 o'clock or 10:30, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, or check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
Now listen.
And the Oscar goes to
the most awarded sports talk radio lineup in the state of Alabama.
Thank you so much.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And welcome back, Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, well, just for about another 34 minutes, shall we? And NCAA basketball resuming tonight. You get the final half of the Sweet 16, which will give us our full Elite Eight field. Purdue, St. Peter's, Kansas, Providence, UCLA, North Carolina, Iowa State, Miami. And if Kansas shall go down, we would have 0 number 1 seeds heading to the Elite Eight. And I still haven't been able to figure out when's the last time we have not had a number 1 seed in the Elite Eight. I don't remember the last time we've had not a number 1 seed in the Final Four. I could be missing that, but I don't remember the last time we've not had at least one number 1 seed make it to the Elite Eight or the Final Four.
Yeah, it's been. I don't think we've ever had a tournament where all 4 number 1 seeds were eliminated before the Final Four. I'll ask our next guest that from Southeastern14.com. If it's happened, I can't remember it. There's usually at least one number 1 seed that gets through to the Final Four most times. But I know that already having 3 number 1s gone. This has only happened, I think, 3 other times in the tournament's history. I think I saw that this morning. But again, we had another couple go down last night, Arizona, Gonzaga. But our next guest is an outstanding college basketball analyst. He works for Southeastern14.com, also Blue Ribbon Basketball. Blake, I may just be flying over my head, but can you remember a time where we didn't have a 1 seed in the Final Four?
Honestly, guys, I was trying to think of this as we were talking about it. I don't ever remember, not even like just the Final Four, like the Elite Eight one. I just can't even think of a scenario where that has happened. At least not in recent history.
Right.
There have been obviously teams that have broken through, but all of them?
Yeah.
it's incredible to think about, isn't it? So yeah, I honestly don't, guys, and I would be very surprised if there's one out there. That it's happened before. I just can't imagine that all 4 number 1 seeds have been eliminated before the Elite Eight. I don't know that we've ever seen that before. If that happens tonight.
Yeah, that would be history, I believe. I don't think it's ever happened. I think I saw that. So,
well, I mean, 28. Think about this though: 28 national championship games.
Yeah.
Have featured at least a number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean.
And because we've only seen 116 knock out of one that early, and, of course, that was UMBC against Virginia a few years ago. And so usually the 1 seeds, they have the easier, quote-unquote, path to the Final Four and the Elite Eight, and at least the Elite Eight because they're really good programs and things of that nature. But I can't even remember a Final Four without a 1, so it's going to be interesting. I'm sure it's probably kind of flown over my head, but again, the Kansas Jayhawks, to me, that's what makes this tournament so unpredictable and intriguing. I thought they were the weakest of the number 1s. They're still alive, and yet tonight we'll see if they can keep it rolling against Providence, who I've underestimated all year with Ed Cooley. And certainly, Blake, we saw last night Arkansas take out Gonzaga, and then Houston just bully Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I think, guys, the Arkansas one, I know there's a lot of people not giving Arkansas any chance, but, Chris, Lee, and I, we spent 30, probably 40 minutes the other day just breaking this game down and really saying, look, if Arkansas is going to win this game, here's how it has to happen. And really, they executed the game plan nearly to perfection. I mean, it was exactly what you had to do, I think, to beat Gonzaga. You had to get the big guy, get Holmgren in foul trouble. They did that. They had to make this game more of a grind. They couldn't make this a 95-90 type game. They weren't going to win anything, resembling a game like that, and they did that. They had to have Jalen Williams be as big as he was in a lot of different areas, and, it was some of those other guys stepping up too. And, one of the things they did, guys, that we have not seen a lot this season is the physicality. I think the aggressiveness, the speed, getting to the 50-50 balls, they forced Gonzaga to make mistakes, and you don't see that a whole lot in this team this season. You just haven't seen that a lot in terms of the turnovers. So I think it all just came together. It all worked out exactly as needed for Arkansas. And yeah, I mean, they are one of those teams, and Muss is one of those guys that he will use that motivation, and they clearly used it last night. And Gonzaga never made that big run, and that was definitely something that helped. I mean, you talk about Houston. Look, Houston's one of those teams that coming into this tournament, everyone had no idea what to do with. And it was because you looked at their resume and you said, all right, they don't have a lot there, but they've won a lot of games, and the computers absolutely love them. I mean, everybody sort of, when you look at the metrics, they're the second best team in the country according to a lot of those. Well, it looks like the metrics are winning out here because, I tell you guys, when we talked about like the UAB game, I thought that was a sneaky one, but if they got past that one, love the matchup with Illinois. I said yesterday to someone, I said, look, if you're looking for an upset tonight, it's probably going to be Houston, Arizona, because I just don't think Houston's getting enough credit. That goes for the guy that's at the head of that with Kelvin Sampson, who is, to me, easily a top 5 coach in the game right now. You just look at what he's been able to accomplish there, and it's pretty remarkable to see what they've been able to accomplish. So, yeah, it's they're marching on as well here. So.
Well, you look at Arkansas. I mean, Eric Musselman now back-to-back trips to the Elite Eight for Arkansas.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting to think because I don't know that a lot of people thought that they would be in that spot. Even last year, being where they were, it was still something where, I mean, just you weren't sure if they were going to be able to just make that big push to get there, and sure enough, they did. And, all everyone talked about last year was, they got there basically. They got to play Oral Roberts in the Sweet 16, so it was all about their path. Well, that's great and all, but I think you play who's in front of you, and it's been the same this year, where people were picking apart saying, well, they got Vermont and New Mexico State, and, they didn't have to play the 5. Well, that's just, you throw all that out, and I think that's what played into last night. There were just so many people who thought that they were going to get beat by 15-plus last night, and we've seen this Arkansas team this year, guys. It's a team that just grinds, and, I mean, they turn things around. I mean, when you think about where they were at the 1st of January to where they are now, That was just a complete defensive overhaul, and I think you give credit to everybody in that program for that, because they were giving up a ton of points, end of December, early January, and then, they go out and beat Missouri by 44 points, and they were off and running from there, and they've really never stopped since that point. So, yeah, it's an impressive achievement. I think, the first time since that 94-95 season, I think they've had back-to-back Elite Eights, or back those 94-95 seasons, and now you get the rematch at a 94 national title game with Duke. So, yeah, it's certainly an interesting setup there for the Mustangs.
Yeah, and I thought that was a big win for Duke. I thought they played their best second half of the season against a really, really good defensive team in Texas Tech, because I had the Red Raiders moving on. Of course, everyone knows how much I love Duke, but I just thought it was a tough matchup for the Blue Devils, but I thought they played at a very high level last night, Blake.
Yeah, I was with you, Drew. I thought Texas Tech was one of those teams that looked like they could be on a mission to get to the Final Four. I mean, you just watch them play, and I was saying this last night. We were talking about Arkansas's defense, and Arkansas plays great defense, and we've seen a lot of great defensive teams. But Texas Tech, the word I use is they're just so active. Their hands and they are just so active on defense, and I thought that would give Duke problems. But Duke was able to handle some of that and come out and get some of those scoring runs that you have to get against this Texas Tech team, because you'll take anything you could get in terms of how they play defense. So, yeah, it was a total, team effort from Duke. Obviously, you look at that starting five and what they did last night. They were really, really good, and I think that's what you're really starting to see from this team is, yes, you could pick apart some things with Duke throughout the season, and I think everyone, wondering as they lost that game to Carolina to end the regular season, and I think that probably stuck in people's brains a lot in terms of kind of where they were. But as we've seen, I think that was probably more about Carolina than it was Duke, because of where Carolina is right now. So, I think this is clearly a team that, it's going to be another challenge for Arkansas. And I think, Duke will present some challenges that just like Gonzaga did. So it's a very interesting matchup on paper with these two. But like you said, Drew, I think Duke played one of their better games, given the opponent and given just the defensive style of Texas Tech.
And, I mean, it's becoming second nature. I mean, it seems like every year they're there. But Jay Wright and Villanova, we talk about how much Arkansas has accomplished, how much Gonzaga has accomplished without winning a national championship. But what Jay Wright has done with Villanova is outstanding. Yeah,
it's rinse repeat, at this point for them. I mean, it's just that this is what they do, and this is what he's molded there, with this team. And I think you just look at it and, man, they're always one of those teams, it seems like, at Villanova, is they are like a well-oiled machine. They know exactly what they want to do every single game. They know what the game plan is, and they go out. They're so efficient in executing it. And, not every game has to be pretty. Not every game has to be 90 to 80, but they can win in so many different ways, I think, and that's what I find most impressive about them is, that they just have that capability, and they have the roster to be able to go out and win a lot of different ways. And let's be honest too, I mean, they're going to shoot the three, and they're going to rely on the three a lot. But this is a team that's been tested a lot this season. When you look at their strength of schedule and all those kind of things, I mean, you go back, they're playing UCLA, Tennessee, Purdue, Baylor, and then of course you got the Big East schedule. It's just a team that's been tested a lot. And as I said going into that game last night, guys, I mean, Michigan's a preseason top 10 team. I know they're a number 11 seed, but in terms of talent, I mean, that's a preseason top 10 type team. So that was not going to be an easy game for anyone. But, yeah, Villanova never really felt in doubt to me. Watching that game and seeing how it played out, and here they are, yet again, one win away from the Final Four.
Well, and Blake, before we ask you about tonight, who do you like on Saturday to march on to the Final Four in those matchups? They both are fascinating. Duke with Coach K's swan song against Arkansas, which hasn't been there since the mid-'90s, and Nolan Richardson. And then, of course, just a truly fascinating coaching matchup with Jay Wright and Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah, I mean, these are two just fantastic matchups here. And, I mean, starting with Arkansas and Duke, again, I think there are going to be some similarities, I think, for Arkansas in this one, that they're going to have to really, sort of approach this knowing that against Duke, it's kind of the same situation where they're going to have to, I think, make this a game that, you want to prevent and I kept saying it, like it's the knockout punch. You know how good Duke can be scoring-wise at times, and you want to prevent, those big runs. Because I think Arkansas as a team, they never really got that far behind last night. I mean, I know there were, points where Gonzaga maybe looked like they were about to make a run, but what Arkansas did so well was they prevented those huge runs. I think they were down, maybe 8 at most, and that was early in the first half, somewhere in there. And I think that's going to be important here against Duke, because again, with the stars that are out there offensively, you're going to have to prevent some of those pushes. I think in that it's a tough one. I mean, I guess I'll pick Duke just because it's people picking against Arkansas has worked for them at this point, so they probably appreciate that. But I think again, there's something to this whole deal with Duke in terms of just the ball just is bouncing their way right now, and there is a bigger storyline in play here, as we know, and I think that's one where they may actually be set up nicely in this one. But it should be another really good game. Villanova-Houston, I think, is, quite frankly, guys, I think it's a toss-up. I think you look at, again, the style of both of these two. They're two of the most well-coached teams in the country, and I think it's all about Houston's defense. Can they continue to do what they've been doing all season long? Can they force a few of those turnovers against the Villanova team that really doesn't commit a lot of them? I think this will be a low-scoring game. I mean, I don't think it's going to be 50-50 or anything, but this will be a game where, kind of like Arkansas-Gonzaga last night, felt like every possession will matter, and I think it's just a matter of who can implement their style in this one. I'll probably go Villanova, but again, that's probably 51-49 in terms of how I feel about that game right now.
I'm going to say 99.9% of the nation had Kentucky winning their opening game with St. Peter's, and now St. Peter's has won 2 in the tournament. Do they stand a chance against Purdue?
Yeah, it's I think with your St. Peter's, you would have liked the tournament to be played out over 6 days instead of a couple weeks. You just would have liked to keep playing. The reset sometimes we've seen for the 15 seeds that have made these runs. Oral Roberts almost had a chance last year against Arkansas. That was a really good game, but I think this will be more of a challenge just because Purdue is one of those teams that you could see coming out of that region. Whenever you saw the bracket, and like you said, everybody had Kentucky going far, but Purdue was one of those teams that really looked at it and said, boy, offensively, at least from an efficiency standpoint, there's not a better offensive team in the country. And, you're going up against the St. Peter's team here where defensively, and that's something too, somebody pointed this out last night. Some of these defensive teams, I mean, we've seen, like Arkansas, be able to grind out a win like that. Houston, we've seen what they can do defensively. Some of these teams defensively have been able to really, kind of counter some of these great offensive teams at times, although, like we mentioned, Duke was able to kind of overcome that against Texas Tech. But I think there's something to that. St. Peter's could make it interesting, but I tend to think that, as we've seen other times in this situation, just having that reset kind of rebalances everything, and I think that probably works in Purdue's favor here against the St. Peter's team. But again, it's basically going to rely on their defense. But man, defending this Purdue team is really unlike, I think, defending that Kentucky team. Let's be honest, Kentucky had some issues offensively coming into this tournament, and whereas I don't think Purdue has a lot of those deficiencies right now when it comes to how they're playing.
They really don't. And then, of course, we got the matchup with the double-digit Cs, T.J. Otzelberger, who came over from UNLV back to a program that where he and his wife are such a big part of the culture at Iowa State. It's really, as Scott mentioned earlier in the show, probably the most stunning turnaround in college basketball. They were 2-22 last year. And then Miami with Jimmy Larinaga, this has almost a George Mason 2011 type feel. And by the way, our great friend Brandon Pilcher, who is one of our great listeners, Blake, we talked about this at the start of your segment. He came up, did some great research for us. Twice in 2011, UConn was a 3, Kentucky a 4, Butler an 8, VCU an 11, and then in 2006, UCLA a 2, Florida a 3, LSU a 4, and George Mason an 11. Those were Final Fours without 1 seeds. But these two guys right here, these two teams, Cinderella stories, but really fascinating with what Larinaga has done in his career. He's always kind of been under the radar, and then the turnaround at Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean, really, guys, when you think about it, this is another one of those games that you've got defense versus offense. Something's got to give here because, defensively, look at what Iowa State's done in these first two games. I mean, they've won games not scoring more than 59 points. I mean, think about that. There's another record I think you look at. That's got to be somewhere up there when a team wins their first two games as the lower seed, and both of those games they don't score 60 points. That's impressive. And so I think that's certainly going to be, the game plan here because Iowa State is not a great offensive team. And that's why, initially I probably picked LSU in the first round because I'm just thinking, I don't know if Iowa State can score enough points, And I think now this is what it's going to come down to because Miami, as we've seen, they have no trouble putting up points. And yet I think their defense has been a little bit better than we would have expected to in this tournament. So another great game here. And I think I would probably tend to pick Miami in this one just because, again, this is one of those teams that I think, and I'm going against the defense versus offense thing because it seems like it's leaned in the defense's favor in a lot of these games. But Larinaga is just, he's a special coach. And I think for anyone who kind of doubted what he'd be able to do at Miami, it's crazy to think, isn't it? He's been there, 10 years now. And it's just, he's been doing this for a long time. I know they've had some tough seasons in recent years, but now to have this turnaround, good for them. And I think this is another one, that'll probably go right down to the wire. And it's just, can Miami find enough of those holes in this Iowa State team defensively to make that run? And I think it's going to be interesting to watch.
All right. Well, good stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to be interesting. And certainly we're going to be watching the Battle of the Blue Bloods as well, UCLA and North Carolina. Mick Cronin, so underrated. I like Mick and the Bruins in this game. But going to be some great basketball on tonight, no doubt. Blake and Southeastern 14, with Arkansas still alive, you guys are going to be all over it.
Yeah, always appreciate it, guys. Like you said, southeastern14.com. You can check out all of our daily stuff going up over there. We did a live stream last night, and many members of the Must Bus were hopping on the live stream last night to enjoy that one. So, yeah, you can check it all out, southeastern14.com, all our basketball stuff. Of course, we got baseball stuff coming here and football as well. So, yeah, check it all out there.
Thank you, Blake.
Thanks, Blake.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get that final break in. When we come back, we're going to look at the furthest each of the top seeds, 1 through 8, have made it in the NCAA tournament. Some interesting numbers when we return.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could see 60 degrees, but that number is going to be hard to come by. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but at the end of the day, most of us going to stay dry. Temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight, into the first half of your weekend. Plenty of sunshine through Saturday afternoon. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood
of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Outdoor season is coming. Can't wait.
Here at Brooks & Collier, neither can we. Outdoor season is also grilling season.
And we have plenty of grills and smokers in stock from Traeger, Blaze, and Big Green Egg.
There's the greenhouse, new indoor items and home furnishings as well.
Whatever it takes. Browse over 2 acres of furnishings. Can't wait.
How about you? North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years.
813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Ross Roberts and his team at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Memorial Parkway. Did you know that Valley Equipment Rental is independently owned and operated by local folks right here in the Valley? They are celebrating 10 years in the business this year and have grown to be North Alabama's largest supplier of rental skid steers and mini excavators. Now, if you have a question about what tool to use, just call them at 964-6081, and the pros at Valley Equipment will get you into the tool that you need for your specific project. Valley Equipment, more care in every rental.
Hey, Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford back again to talk to you about how easy it is to make a custom factory order. Just click WoodyAndersonFord.com, hit the top banner, then start making your selections. It's really simple, and you'll end up with the exact vehicle you want. Not only is there no extra charge to custom order, but at Woody Anderson Ford, we'll take 5% off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates on the 2022 F-150, Bronco Sport, Explorer, Expedition, and Ranger. Another option for you is a certified pre-owned. We have over 100 Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned models to choose from. Our Ford Gold certified are low mileage, gently used with great warranties. They've passed a 175-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance, plus a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Also, don't forget our service department is offering a free pickup and delivery when it's time for your next Ford service. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And what's the furthest each of the top seeds have gone in the NCAA tournament? In case you're wondering. There have been 28 national championship games again between the #1 seeds, with 23 going on to win the title. Last year, of course, the most recent with Baylor. There have been, as far as #2 seeds go, they have reached the title game a total of 13 times only since 1985 and have taken home the championship just 5 times. The last time a #2 seed has won the tournament, got to go all the way back to 2016, and that would be Villanova, the last #2 seed to win. #3 seed. Since 1985, the #3 seeds have gone to the title game 10 times, going 4-6 in those contests. Texas Tech, again, the last one to appear, 2019 when they lost to Virginia.
In overtime.
Connecticut, the most recent #3 seed to win a title, 2011.
Kevin Ollie, that was Chad sent us, Chad and also via Brandon sent us that, because that was one of those Final Fours where there was no one.
Right.
#1 seed wasn't there. And then another interesting fact that Chad researched for us, there's only been one time where all 4 ones made it to the Final Four. That was 2008.
Right.
And then in 2000, and only 5 times totally, I should say, have 3 #1 seeds made it. And then we right now we might have one, but we may not. So I figured there was probably a time where there wasn't a one that made it. but it looks like the last couple
That's
times
the
that
Final
happened.
Four. I'm wondering in the Elite Eight. I mean, I bet you.
I think it would be the first time ever in the Elite Eight
Yeah.
where there wouldn't be any. I think it's only happened 3 other times where 3 number ones have been out, and I don't think all 4 have ever been out in the Elite Eight.
Right.
So that would some history tonight if Ed Cooley and the Providence Friars can knock off Kansas.
Well, Providence is a number 4 seed.
Yeah, they are, right.
A number 4 seed has won the NCAA tournament only once. Arizona back in 1997.
So they were a 4. I knew they were a 4 or 5. I was trying to remember exactly. So a 4. They were a 4 seed.
And 2 other number 4 seeds have appeared and lost, Michigan in 13 and Syracuse in 1996. If your team is a 5 seed in the tournament, don't have much success. The furthest the 5 seed has gone is the runner-up position, and it's happened 3 times, 2000 Florida, 2002 Indiana, and 2010 Butler. Number 6 seeds, since the tourney's expanded in 85, just 2 6 seeds have made the championship round. Kansas won it in 88, and the Michigan Wolverines lost the title game in 92. Number 7, UConn. If you're a number 7 seed, the UConn Huskies won the tournament in 14 over 8 seed Kentucky in 2014. And the only time a number 7 seed has appeared in the championship game was 2014 when UConn beat Kentucky. And in number 8 seeds, they're 1 and 2 in national title games.
And we know the one. I know that one. That's 1985 Villanova.
Yep. Okay. And number 15. So St. Peter's is a 15th seed.
Yeah.
Okay. Florida Gulf Coast in 2013 became the first number 15 seed to make the Sweet 16.
Andy Enfield, yeah.
Yep. Oral Roberts did the second time in
Last
2021. So this is the third time that they've done it. Did not see if they've. I don't think either one of them made it to the Elite
They did
Eight.
not. Oral Roberts lost to Arkansas and Eric Musselman by 2 last year, and then Edenfield and Florida Gulf Coast, who put on dunk shows repeatedly, as you remember, they were also bowed out in the Sweet 16.
All right, so tonight you do get Iowa State and Miami, 10 versus the 11.
Right.
Okay. The deepest run a 10 seed has made it in the NCAA tournament is the Final Four. It's happened just once, as number 10 seed Syracuse accomplished that feat in 2016. Prior to that, the number 10 seeds had gone 0-7 in the Elite Eight games. And the 11 seed, there are 5 11 seeds that have reached the Final Four. UCLA in 2021, Loyola Chicago in 2018, VCU in 2011, George
Shaka.
Mason in 2006,
and LSU
in what's the year? Come on,
1980.
You got
7.
No. 86.
Oh, I lost my one, man. But I do remember that run by LSU. They were an 11 seed, and Dale Brown got to the Final Four.
So there you go. So there's a little bit of numbers going into tonight. North Carolina is an 8 seed. I'm looking over that. So that's a little bit of numbers going into tonight, in case you're wondering about the NCAA tournament and how far teams have gone.
So, in other words, St. Peter's is battling for history tonight as well against Purdue. Because they could be the first 15 to get to the Elite Eight.
Yes.
So we'll see. I think it's going to be an uphill battle, but certainly St. Peter's has been a tremendous story.
All right, so there you have it. Time is just about out for us. That's going to do it for our weekend, our week.
And we appreciate our listeners. Our half-off deal with Gunnersville State Park, I believe it's sold out in less than 10 minutes. Great job by you guys supporting us. And, of course, thank you to Blake Lovell and to Hank South and to all our callers. Good research, Brandon. We appreciate that on the Final Four. And Chad doing a great job producing our show as always and coming up with some outstanding tidbits.
SEC baseball, another full weekend of SEC baseball, SEC softball. Make sure you stay with 97.7 ESPN The Zone and our myriad of network channels for your availability to hear some Alabama baseball coming up here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And a quick shout out again to UVA Wise, Kaylin Lightford, Landon Jacobs to Cleveland State, Coastal Alabama, Josh Price, and then this week also Messiah Morris to Gadsden State. A lot of guys signing on to play college basketball, a great accomplishment.
All right, guys, see you back here Monday morning, 7 o'clock.